I love yeast breads, and one of my favorites is panettone. It's an Italian yeasted holiday bread with a distinctive cylindrical shape found in a variety of sizes. Let me start the sponge. The sponge is important in the creation of the taste and the lightness of the panettone. 1/3 of a cup of warm whole milk, 2 packages of active dry yeast. So what we're doing is really kind of proofing the yeast, but also making a sponge because we're adding not only sugar and liquid, but also a little bit of flour. 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar and approximately a half a cup of flour. And I'm using my little trusted scale here, 2 ounces, a little less than a half a cup of flour. So add that to your bowl also. Stir that up a little bit and just let that ferment, proof, and we can just put that right on the mixer. This has to sit for 1 hour, so to be sure that it doesn't dry out, either use a damp towel across the bowl or a piece of plastic wrap. The romantic account of panettone's origins is that a nobleman fell in love with an impoverished baker's daughter and invented this bread for her. Depending upon the source, the nobleman dubbed it panettone, panettone, which means, in the local dialect, bread of luxury. Who knows? Anyway, it's a really delicious holiday bread, especially popular at Christmas time. Our sponge is ready. Now we continue with the rest of the recipe. We need 12 ounces of bread flour, which is approximately 2.5 cups. And I am weighing this so that we are absolutely accurate. So here we just dump the flour in, 3 tablespoons more sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. You can start mixing this up a little bit while you beat with a fork 4 large eggs. So this is a nice smooth dough into which butter is incorporated. Lots of butter, 2.5 sticks. And now you can just pour the eggs in. You want a nice, smooth, stiff ball of dough before you add the butter. That takes about 5 minutes. Now it's time to add the butter, 1 tablespoon at a time. This is at room temperature, not melted, but at room temperature. Panettone's origins date way, way back to Milan during the Roman Empire, when ancient Romans sweetened leavened bread with honey. It wasn't until the early 20th century that panettone actually became widely adopted by Italians as their Christmas bread. So now add 1/2 teaspoon of orange extract. Get pure extract, nothing artificial. And almond extract, the same amount, 1/2 teaspoon. They're very strong extracts, so you don't need a lot. And 1 cup of candied orange peel, every single piece. And now your golden raisins, 1¼ cups. I like a very fruit-studded panettone. And I think we're done. Now it's time for the first rising. And it goes right into an oiled bowl, fragrant and really yummy. And now rather than putting this in a warm place to double in bulk, cover it and put it in the refrigerator overnight. So when I first started making panettone, I didn't have these wonderful French paper baking panettone holders. These are so nice and so perfect for baking panettone. But I used a brown paper sandwich bag. All you do is take the regular sandwich bag and roll down the edge until you get the appropriate height for your panettone. It does bake nice and round, and you don't even have to butter the bag. You just put this buttery dough right in the bag. Works very well. So now divide your dough. Look how beautiful it is. You can turn this out on your counter. Divide it in half and shape each half into a round. It's such a gorgeous dough. And just plop it right into the container. I'm going to make 1 in a paper bag. Now you can cover this with a towel or another piece of plastic wrap just so that the top doesn't dry out. Warm place for 2 hours until it's almost doubled in bulk. So here are 2 panettone that have risen up to the top of the papers. Brush with an egg glaze. This is just 1 egg beaten lightly with a fork. Don't press hard because it really is airy and you don't want to deflate what's taken 2 hours to rise. It depends on what you like, what you put on the tops. You can leave it plain, but I think it's greatly enhanced with what we call pearl sugar. And you can just sprinkle right into the egg glaze. This bakes into the surface and it adds a crunch to the top of the panettone. And you can also add a few almonds, which look very pretty. Get this right into a preheated 350-degree oven and bake until golden brown, about 50 minutes. So look at these, how beautiful they are. 2 gorgeous almond-studded panettone. Now, you want to cool these before you do anything else. And an easy way to cool them, you pierce each side of the panettone with a bamboo skewer. And you're going to flip your panettone over and cool it between 2 jars. Panettone wants to cave in on itself when it comes out of the oven, so hanging it upside down for several hours prevents this. So insert your skewer and turn it over. You'll lose a few almonds, but c'est la vie. There, just let it cool. Don't cut into them, don't be tempted. They're much, much better after they've cooled. Now, panettone does belong on a pedestal, don't you think? So serve it on a pedestal like that, still in its paper. I slice it right in the paper. And I usually slice it in half and then in wedges, just like a cake. Or you can serve it in a much more informal manner on a breadboard like this. Whichever way you choose to serve it, panettone is so delicious that you'll be tempted to make it all year long, not just at Christmas time. Enjoy.